Hello, the Pioneer viewers. It's great to be with you again. We will analyze the Ukraine-Russia war with you again today, of course, with a map. The war of the century, that war that changed the balances in Europe and showed us that the known world is no longer the world. We have left almost 2 years behind, and the war is still going on. The Ukrainian army continues its resistance against the Russian occupation. Russian troops are almost melting in the face of the resistance of the Ukrainian army. There are many speculative news about the war in recent days. It is claimed that the Ukrainian armed forces have lost the war. Of course, these are just rumors. According to some allegations, the Russian administration is also conducting a large-scale propaganda to spread these allegations. However, the situation on the front line is different. Even on the Donetsk front line, the front lines where the Russian troops are the strongest, Ukrainian troops stop the attacks of the Russian troops with an extraordinary struggle. So, what is the latest situation on the front line? Let's analyze the latest developments together. As the Pioneer team, we continue to convey the developments regarding the Russia-Ukraine war. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications as not to miss their daily map reports and reports on the agenda. You can also support me and my team by using the super thanks button below the video. This support will please us. Let's start if you're ready, the Pioneer reports. Let's start our report by analyzing the latest developments on the Bakhmut front line. For a change, as you know, there has been increasing Russian pressure in this area for some time, especially on both the southern and the northern flanks of the Bakhmut. Let's look at the northern flank first. On the northern flank of the Bakhmut front line, Ukrainian troops had previously tried to advance in the direction of Berkhivka and Yahidny and captured some positions. According to the latest reports, Russian troops have launched an attack on Ukrainian positions from the area on the map, that is, from the Yahidny and Berkhivka area. Previously, there were reports that Russian troops had captured some positions in the region. However, visual confirmation has not yet been received from these regions. During the latest attacks, Russian troops failed to make any progress. We have already mentioned before. We know that the Ukrainian armed forces troops in this region left the region for the defense of Avdiivka some time ago. Despite this, Russian troops have still not been able to make the desired progress. Resistance to all attacks in Ukrainian positions continue with all its strength. In the south of Bakhmut front line, we mentioned that there was a fate-changing developments when Klishchivka and Andriivka were captured by the Ukrainian troops. Today we are seeing the repercussions of this. The positions of the Ukrainian armed forces are being heavily targeted by the Russian armed forces. Allegedly, the intensity of the Russian army's attacks here is similar to the Donetsk front line. However, here, the advantage of the dominant hills in Klishchivka allows Ukrainian troops to resist. Despite all their heavy weapons and attacks, Russian troops have still not been able to advance in the region. Let's briefly talk about the artillery attacks in the region. According to the latest reports, Russian artillery units targeted Ukrainian positions in the direction of Bogdanivka, Khromov, Ivanivsky, Andriivka, and Klishchivka. In response, artillery units of the armed forces of Ukraine opened fire on Russian positions, which carried out artillery attacks on these areas. At the same time, Ukrainian artillery shelled Russian positions in the Bakhmut town center in the direction of Kordomoivka. Now let's continue our daily map report by analyzing the latest developments on the Donetsk front line, where Russian pressure continues intensively. On the Donetsk front line, after shelling, the Russian armed forces managed to advance in the industrial zone in southeastern approaches to Avdiivka, east of the city, and near the coking plant, northeast of the city, suffering heavy losses. As we have noted, Russian troops are making advances, albeit limited ones. However, these advances resulted in the destruction of a large number of Russian soldiers and Russian firepower. There is an intense fighting at the gates of Avdiivka. We can say that the Ukrainian defenses here are still standing firm despite all the Russian attacks. At the tactical level, we can say that the Russian armed forces are carrying out similar actions nearest to both. However, these actions have not yet led to any change in the border lines between the two armies. As mentioned earlier, the Ukrainian armed forces are still defending their positions. As you can see, the steppe area, in fact, if the Ukrainian troops deepen their forward positions here, they can cut off the Ukrainian troops into Avdiivka from the west. In other words, if the Russian army establishes a line from Stepov to the Volhyny in the south, the Ukrainian troops in the Avdiivka will face a great difficulty. However, as we mentioned, the Ukrainian army's defense fortifications here are quite strong. Therefore, we think that the possibility of the Russian army encircling the Ukrainian troops by carrying out such an overhang operations is weak for now. Let's also touch upon artillery activities. According to the latest reports, artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted Ukrainian positions in Novomykhailovka, Pobeda, Gogorivka, Krasnogorovka, Permovskoye, Nataliov, Orechetin, and New York. In turn, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces hit Russian positions in Staromykhailovka, Donetsk, Belyadny, Kamenka, the village of Krasnogorovka, and Horlivka. Let's continue our report by analyzing the latest developments on the Zaporizhia front line. According to the latest reports, units of the Ukrainian armed forces tried to advance to the west of the village of the Robotny with artillery support to prevent Russian attacks. Although there are reports that Ukrainian troops have captured some positions here, we have not yet been able to confirm this. It is also claimed that the Ukrainian troops made tactical gains west of Novofedoryovka. We are waiting for the visual confirmations. We are looking at artillery activity. According to the latest reports, artillery units of the Russian armed forces attacked the settlements of the Kamenskoye, Lobkoyovoy, and Robotino and Maletokmacha. Artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces targeted Russian troops stations in Zhiribyanki, Nestoryanka, Kopani, Ichenko, Novoprokopivka, Verbov, Novofedorovka, and Novopokrovka. There are no major changes on the Kherson front line. According to the latest reports, fighting continues in the direction of Krinky. Ukrainian troops are attacking the forest belts near Krinky. There are intense clashes. However, there are no border changes. And artillery activity. According to the latest reports, long-range guns of the Russian armed forces worked on Ukrainian positions in Novomitrivkova and Novoskoye, Kherson, in Zhenroy and Antoniivka, Pritsnovskoye, and Lviv. In response, Ukrainian troops hit Dzhanko. Ukrainian artillery also hit Russian positions in Olapristan, Alioshki, Poima, Pechanovka, Podestepnoe, Kazakh camps, and Dnipryani. What do you think? Do you think the Ukrainian army will be able to hold its positions on the Bakhmut front line? How do you assess the Ukrainian resistance on the Donetsk front line? Do you think there is a possibility of a border change on the Kherson front line? Let me know in the comments. I read and care about all your comments.